this is Stephanie with S&J's Creations. We are going to make a patriotic wreath today. I am using a Christmas base. This is an 18-inch Christmas wreath from Michael's. So it's really nice to work with. You can use the wireframes, but these are so easy because they have the tines on them. So we're using that. I have blue and red mesh, and we're going to be using this flag sign. And then I have a bunch of picks. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to use yet, but we will use some of them. And then we have an array of ribbon. I haven't decided exactly which ones we're going to use yet, but we will get there too. So I am going to cut our mesh. Get this tag off. Okay. So I don't measure my mesh whenever I'm cutting it. I just do it by eye. So I will pull it up till about my arm is about right here, and I cut. They're usually anywhere from 24 to 28 inches long. And if you're the type person that needs to measure, you can certainly do that. If you do, I recommend getting a rotary cutter and then a mat to cut the mesh on. But this is just faster, it's easier. Now I am going to fluff the wreath base a little so that it is easier to put our mesh in it. And you can do this first before you cut your mesh. This is all, you can do all of this the way that you like to do it. This is just the way that I like to do it. You can do it my way, or you can do it similar to my way. Honestly, it's all just kind of interchangeable. It depends on the person and how it's easiest for you to do it. I mean, I've learned from others. I do it some ways similar to others, but again, you just have to find the way that is easiest for you. Okay, so that's pretty good. Now, I like to cruffle, so we're going to take each end and curl it in a little bit, not all the way, just a little bit. And then you scrunch or ruffle the rest in, and you get this. And then we are going to just pick a spot and start putting them in. And I can already tell now, I'm gonna need more mesh. I don't know what I was thinking. Okay, and I'm going to alternate. Okay, we're putting our last piece of mesh in, and I did end up using a little over each roll, so I used, you would have to buy 2 full rolls of the mesh, the 10-inch mesh, or you can just stretch it to where you don't, but if you want it full, then you're going to need more mesh. And another reason why I like to use these Christmas bases. So, and they're usually round. Sorry, I moved my trash can. But I like to take them and kind of smush them a little bit, so it's almost like an oval shape. I just prefer that over the really round shape. And I mean, most people like the really round shape, and that's fine, but I prefer this. Also, the little People say not to call them pine cones, but that's what I like to call them. Branches, whatever. When you are gluing things in, these help to hold what you're gluing in. So I prefer these over the wireframes for that reason as well. Okay, so see how pretty and full that is? I love it. Okay, now we have our sign. So the sign has this little thing for you to hang it on the wall, and that's what we're going to use to attach it. All right, so there you go. It's all, and you don't want it smushing everything, so it's just sitting right on top of the mesh. Okay. Okay, so these are the ribbons that I decided to go with. And I am going to make a bow with my hands. Sorry. Start with the top. That's what I'm going to do. Sometimes I start with the bottom, sometimes I start with the top. So I am going to make a loop, twist, another loop, and twist. This is going to be our top. And then each layer that you add onto, you want it to be a little bit longer. Okay? And you want to make sure that you're pinching and you're twisting. So you see the print, it looks okay on camera, but whenever you twist it, it looks much better. And you can tell the difference. It looks a little dull on that side and more vibrant on this side. Okay? And I like to measure to see if my loops are about the same size. Okay? You don't want your loops too big for your wreath, but some people do. I like a really big bow, and I am making a really big bow, but you don't want it to be too big. So you just gotta watch what you're doing. Okay, this is what we have so far. I'm going to add in a plain red under my blue. So I like to do, I don't want a pattern on top of a pattern. So I try to do solid pattern, solid pattern. Here I do have two solids beside each other, but I also don't want my solid red to be at the base. I want the fireworks at the base. See the fireworks on the ribbon? That's what I want as my base. Okay. Do loop. Pinch, twist, loop, pinch, twist. Okay, so we have a pretty big bow. All right, now I'm going to take a zip tie. Right here. And I'm not going to tighten it all the way down yet. I don't want to do that because I want pipe cleaners to go at the back. And you can do that first if you're starting from the bottom. If you're not, then you kind of want to do this way. And then you can just take your pipe cleaner and slide it right in between, right there. Okay? And make sure all your ribbons, your loops and everything are okay. And then we are going to tighten that zip tie down. And then I'm going to take these wire cutters, cut that off. Okay. Now, I don't fluff my bow at this point because I want to put it on and it's probably going to get all wonky while I'm trying to situate it. So I'm going to put the bow right here. Okay? And we're going to do it the same way. We're just going to feed the pipe cleaner through our mesh and attach it to our base like we did with the sign. It's again a puzzle trying to get it through. That wasn't as bad. Okay? See where it's at and tie it down. Again, you don't want to completely smush it in there. And I'm going to leave my long ties from my pipe cleaners there until we're finished. Now I'm gonna fluff my bow, and some of the ribbon tails are gonna kind of cover a little bit of the side. I don't want to cover all of it, but you want your ribbon, your bow to show. Okay. So just pull. I like to pull. So I'm going to pull the tail and the loop opposite. And then I'm going to go the other way for the next layer, other way for the next layer, back and forth. Okay? Same thing for the other side. So everything is going to be opposite. You get it like you want it, and honestly, as a wreath maker, I could sit here all day and fluff this ribbon and still be fluffing it and keep on fluffing. Just never satisfied. It's a big old boat. I'm going to dovetail the ends, so I'm going to cut up at an angle. I'm gonna have to bring y'all in. Okay, so here's your ribbon. Fold it in half like this and go down or up depending on how you're cutting from. But this is what you're looking for. Okay, that's a dovetail. You don't have to do that. You can do just the slant. I prefer the dovetail. I think it's prettier. Okay, so now we have our sign in and we have our big bow up here. I'm going to make another bow to put down here. Doesn't that look pretty? Now it's time for the picks. And if you want, you could put florals in here. I don't think I'm going to. I may put some I don't know. I think we will actually. Okay. So this is pretty. So these are from Hobby Lobby. I use these a lot for patriotic designs. I like the blue hydrangeas. Those are pretty. And the white lilies. Okay, so these are my Nippics. I love these. These are my favorite. So we're going to cut some of these off to put into our wreath. I think I'm going to do these 3 white ones, and then we're going to do some blue. We might do some red. Let's see what this looks like. Okay. There we go, fluffing the bow again. So you just want to put it wherever your little heart desires. You could be a little bit, I'm going to cut these down a little bit. So I'm using my glue gun, but I do typically use a glue pot when I'm using florals, but since we decided at the last minute to add these, I am using my glue gun. So you just want to get it in there and hold it for a second and let that glue dry. You don't have to hold it for a real long time, but just kind of give it a second. Again, cut a little extra off of that. That was a little too long. Alright, so I'm going to go good there, go here, and then I'm going to go up here. Okay. Don't burn yourself. So you kind of have 3. Now we have the blue. I'm gonna go kind of in between of those. So I'm gonna go here. I love that. Love that. All right, so there. I'm gonna go here. So you don't want just the front. You want to see stuff on the sides too. then we're going to put this one on the left side, right there. Alright, now it's time for some picks. Oops, I'm starting stuff. Okay, so I've only got 2 of these. I don't think I'm going to use that for that reason. You know, I do have a blue, a white, and a red of this. So I'm just going to put them in just to see what I think of them. I'm not gluing anything right now. So, and I'm scrunching some of these down just a little bit because they were a little long for my taste. See, they're little curlies. Okay. Again, I'm just kind of sticking them in to see if I even like the way they look. And then we'll decide if we want to actually place them in the wreath. I kind of like it. I mean, it's kind of simple, but then not. So again, personal preference. I am gonna do this. So I'm gonna cut these off a little bit shorter. Again, don't burn yourself because that glue starts coming down. When you put it in that on that stick like that, it's gonna start falling, gravity. So you need to be careful and don't burn yourself. I say that and then I burn myself. Not right now, but I do it all the time. So I like that. And then you can always bring these little curlicues and make them a little bit longer if you need to. So I like that sticking out. Same thing over here. Cut this off with glue. This one little hat. Thinking about putting that right there. I'm gonna put that there. Sorry, y'all, my allergies are bothering me. things off. It's just little stragglers from the mesh. Sometimes you have those and you have to trim them off. Okay, here I go, flipping the bow again. I like it. What do you think? All right, thanks guys.